Hey guys, it's Holly. So today I wanted to take a look at Newt's case of magical creatures. Now, I recently got this set, and upon further research, I realized that this had pretty much skyrocketed in quite a few countries, including Australia. For example, the only one on Bricklink that is new and sealed, actually the only one in general being sold on Bricklink for us, is worth 250 Australian dollars. So I was really lucky to get a hold of this. So this is set 75952 and was released in 2018 for 45 Great British pounds, 50 US dollars and 50 euros. Now usually I probably wouldn't review a set that's like 2 years old, but I did have quite a few people asking for it. But also I thought it would be interesting to take a look at this set 2 years on and see, does it still hold up and would it be worth that resale value? Now this set has 694 pieces and is based upon the first and second Fantastic Beasts movie, focusing I think more heavily on the first movie, which I definitely appreciate because that, in my opinion, is the better of the two. Also, in case you couldn't tell, I forgot to record an intro, so that whole section was just filmed on my phone.
So here is the entire set, and there is a lot to unpack in here. You have the 3 Beasts, Newt's case, which expands and unfolds and is really cool, and the minifigures themselves. So let's have a look at them first. So first up, we have Newt Scamander, and he's in a different variant than he was in the series 1 of the Harry Potter CMF, and this time he doesn't have his blue coat on. And honestly, I do kind of miss it. I get why they didn't do it, as you wanted to have a different variant, but it seems weird to only do 2 Fantastic Beasts sets. One only has Newt in it, and the other one doesn't even include him at all, and not have him in that iconic blue coat. I don't know, it's just something feels weird about that to me, but I do quite like this variant. The torso print looks really good, although I don't know why it's darker at the back. I guess that's because it is a darker vest on the back in the movie. I really can't remember. But then it just looks kind of weird because you've got this weird outline then around the outside. He has no leg printing, and then he's got the same hairpiece that he does with all the other variants of him, and he's got a really nice face print as well and comes with his orange wand. He also comes with a rather scared alternate face, and it's interesting to note as well there is no bow truckle printing as well on the pocket either. Next up we have Tina Goldstein, and honestly she's one of my least favorite characters from the movie, so I'm not too excited about her figure, but I think they did a pretty good job. Her face definitely, I think, looks a lot more accurate than it did in the CMF, which actually, fun fact, that CMF head was the one that I used on my original sig fig, and while I do really like that original face print, I definitely think this face right here captures the actress better. The torso print from memory looks very similar as well, and then she's also just got some plain black legs. She also comes with a white teapot with a little stud on the top to act as the top, and her brown wand. She's also got some minimal back printing as well, which is quite nice, and I love the golden metallic locket. She also does have an alternate face, which I find kind of weird because it reminds me a lot of Leia's alternate face, even though I'm pretty sure when I look at them both, they're slightly different. I don't really know. I'll put a picture up so you can see what I mean, but I find this really interesting considering the other side of her face is so vastly different to what Leia has. My favorite minifigure though from this set is definitely Queenie Goldstein. I think they really nailed her, and I absolutely love her face print. I also think this hair works perfectly for her, and it really does capture the actress. I also love her pink outfit. I think it looks really good. The only real complaint I have is because the legs are pink and they didn't dual mold them, they've printed on the skin here, and then you've got printed on shoes, so there's just this weird pink patch in between them. But other than that, I think they did a really, really good job. I have seen people use this face for Lavender Brown as well, and I think it looks amazing when they do that. It really does match Lavender Brown's personality a lot more than Ray's face did. If they were going to reuse anything, I definitely think they should have reused Queenie's, because even her alternate face matches Lavender Brown a lot better. And lastly, we have Jacob Kowalski, and he looks really good as well, and he's not in his tuxedo suit this time. Instead, he is in his protective gear with his big helmet on, which actually is the helmet they used to use for the beaters in Harry Potter, which is really nice. And you also get a black umbrella, which I only learned recently you can actually hold in the middle, which is really interesting. Because Jacob does come with a helmet, he does actually have an alternate hairpiece to match his alternate face as well, where he does not have that chin strap of his helmet on, which I really appreciate LEGO including. They do this a few times, and I wish honestly they would do it more for things like that, that. The only downside is you can kind of see the strap underneath his hair, but for the most part, it's pretty much covered. Although I definitely think he is the weakest figure out of this set. So the first beast I want to look at is the Okami, and it's the first one you build in the set as well, and it goes really nicely with Tina in the set due to her accessory of the teapot, as this is the beast that does lurk around in there, and then when set free enlarges into this massive beast. And honestly, I really like the build of this creature. It's probably my favorite out of the three, even though it is really simple, and I think it's purely down to the color scheme of this beast. I really like the use of this headpiece with the horns. It's the same one that they used for the Hungarian horntail, although I think it works a lot better in this beast's case. I think the horntail, it needed to be a lot bigger and more aggressive. I also really like the pink coloring of these wings here. It looks really good. The only downside to this beast is how repetitive it gets when you're building it, as you have to do this middle section here so many times. It's also the only beast that can be attached to studs, which I really do appreciate, because otherwise it's just going to fall right down. It is really hard to stand this thing up on its own without it tipping over and leaning on its wings or anything like that. I think that is the only other downside to this. Besides that, I think the build is fantastic and it looks really, really nice. It's also really good to get a lot of these pieces in this really nice blue azure color. Our second creature is the Thunderbird, and just like the Okami, I think this has a beautiful color scheme, although unlike the Okami, to me, this one just feels a bit more empty. For starters, why are these pieces dark grey? I feel like it really ruins the color scheme of this bird. I feel like the light bluish grey works, but the dark bluish grey just feels out of place. I wish they would have recolored these pieces in white to match the rest of it. The wings look fantastic, and I love this little headpiece as well in this tan recoloring. I think it looks really good. Same with the longer white horns and the tail at the back. But to me, the body, it feels really small and kind of incomplete, honestly. I don't know too much else of what they could have done, but to me it just doesn't feel 100% correct. Also, these feet are very flimsy. It's kind of hard to stand this beast up. I always have to put all the horns together and then lean it slightly on its tail, and to me this just doesn't look right. I feel like it's really supposed to hang it up and fly it, but I feel like playability wise this beast would look pretty cool and be a really solid thing to play around with. Display wise, however, I can't say the same thing. It just doesn't feel right to me. I guess if I turn the feet round and then stand it, okay, yeah, that's definitely a lot better. I did not have the feet correctly. I changed my mind. I take back everything of what I just said. Now that I've figured that out, I think this beast does work a bit better, although yeah, it still does feel incomplete, but definitely a lot easier to pose around and things like that. I guess as well, you could also attach this to the top of the briefcase, which would be really cool. And lastly, we have the Erapint, which I'm pretty sure was from the original Fantastic Beasts movie, where he is battling in, I believe it's Central Park, against Jacob Kowalski with his massive helmet on, and Newt starts doing that weird dance. Anyway, I really like that scene, so it's awesome to get this brick built beast. I want to say rhino all the time because it looks exactly like a rhino, and honestly you could probably just take away these translucent orange pieces and yeah, you would have a rhino, which for that reason I think this beast is also pretty good, although his back legs just look really tiny and out of proportion, which makes me think, okay, maybe let's not make it a rhino. The rest of the beast though I think looks really good. I love the brick built head. I think that turned out amazing, and I love all the use of the curved pieces. It looks really finished off to me. I kind of do wish they did put a 1x2 slope here though, just to completely round off the back of the beast. But overall, I think it's really good. You do get a lot of mobility in the legs and arms and a bit in the head as well, which is pretty cool, although I just made him fall over. With the lack of that cheese slope as well does mean you can stand a figure on the back if you really wanted to, which is pretty cool. But other than that, I don't think the beast does too much, but just like the other ones, I believe it's really good for playability, and I do love the inclusion of it. I think he looks really good. The main appeal though of this set is hands down Newt's case itself, and I think this looks brilliant. The fact that it can completely close up like this, I think is the main selling point for this set, and it's one of the reasons it's gone up a lot in the resale market over the last few years. The design is beautiful, and it reminds me so much of the Lego piece as well, which is fantastic, although I do wish this could be completely tiled off, but I know that's asking for a lot. That would cost a lot of money to do that. I also do wish you didn't have these bricks poking through on the sides and it was just plain brown like it is is on the other side, but besides that, I don't have any faults with the exterior of the case. Then you go to open it up and you can lift up the top. You can also lift up these two flaps in the center and pull each side panel out, and it exposes the entire thing to be sort of like a TARDIS type thing. Also on the front of the case, you do have the little muggle-worthy lock, as well as the clips to go on the suitcase, a little carry handle, and Newt Scamander's initials, which is a stickered piece. Now, because this case does need to enclose into the tiny suitcase, there isn't really much on the inside, although I think they did a fantastic job with what they did include in such a small space. For example, on this side here, you have this little desert mountain, I believe. You got two white flowers here, a butcher's knife, a brush, and a chicken piece, which is just supposed to sit in here, although it doesn't really sit very well. It always falls out. And then you've got a gold tap and a tiny little sink over here. Then heading into the middle, you do have some plants, and you also have an empty black Technic brick, which just kind of sticks out. I'm not too sure why that is there and is sticking out. I think they could have made that a bit cleaner and just done a 1x1 instead. There's also a plate sticking out here, which I'm not too sure exactly what that's supposed to be for either. Then in the middle, we do have Newt's ladder heading down into his suitcase, and you've got these stickered panel pieces on the front meant to look like wooden logs as well. And on the inside, this entire section does fold in and flap up, which does make up the top of the suitcase. And the whole reason that that sits in like that is because you've got these little grate pieces here. On the inside here, you just have a few potion bottles, as well as another gold bar for the Niffler. And on the other side, you have a portrait of, I believe it is Lita Lestrange. This is a really nice stickered tile, and forgive me if I got the name wrong. I've seen this movie once. I really don't care about the crimes of Grindelwald, but I think it's a really nice inclusion either way. On the right hand side here, it is the same deal with the plate on the outside, the empty Technic brick, and the little plant. And then on the very far right, you have the last little area, which is meant to have a lot of greenery. So on the left hand side, you have a lot of gold studs and a gold bar, meant to be all of the Niffler's stash, as they do like shiny gold objects. Then on the right in the corner, you do have a little plant where you can put the bow truckle that Newt is holding. It's literally just a green stem. It doesn't have any printing or anything. I wouldn't really call it a bow truckle. But there's also a really nice cobblestone pattern with some little dirt patches. Then over here, you do have a little bucket and a little egg nest, which I really like. And this is made using those minifigure pieces that Professor Snape's Boggart has, which I think is really cool. And then you just got a white egg, which sits on a stud on the top. And I really like the little build for this. I think it's very simple, but really effective. And that piece really does look like an egg's nest. And that is pretty much it for Newt's case. It's very small, but very effective. I really love how they've done the design of this. I honestly think it's one of the most clever sets that they have put out of the entire Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts line. I don't think we've ever had anything like it, and I absolutely love the design. The fact that it can just fold up so neatly into this amazing looking briefcase is really, really clever. I can safely say that I definitely judged it way too harshly, and upon building, I really enjoy it. And Newt's case in particular, take the Fantastic Beasts and everything out of it, and even the minifigures for that matter, and just Newt's case on its own is so good and probably makes up the entire set, I think, personally, in value. Admittedly, when you do open it up, there isn't too much inside, although I get it. You can't really fit too much inside without it being extremely cramped. But along with that, you do have 3 beautiful builds of all of these beasts, and even though they are quite small, I do think LEGO did an amazing job with capturing them, and overall, I think this set's absolutely amazing. Me and a lot of other people as well, I definitely think regret not picking this set up when it first launched, because this has increased in price quite a lot recently and is very highly sought after by a lot of people. I'm really fortunate that I was able to get it when I did, because I feel like if I waited any longer, I would definitely regret it, and I honestly think it's probably worth its inflated price tag. Even in 2020, I definitely think that Newt's case is still a fantastic set and definitely worth the resale money. So if you are looking to get it, I would definitely snatch it up sooner rather than later before it starts to creep up even more. Let me know your thoughts on this set and Fantastic Beasts in general down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below. And until next time, I'll see you later.